Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
Right back like I left something. Your hostess with the mostest on fire. Like, like, I'm holding that fire like roach clips. You dig what I'm talking about? Your naga, your nerve fresh off of that curve, jelly jam preserve. Hey, Cosmon right back, man. I'm checking out this new Eve Mux. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm done with StreamYard. They had a lot of games, a lot of things going on, man. Shout out to our technical support, aka Sir Yogurt. You dig what I'm talking about? Who came with a another viable plan at a much and it works better. You dig what I'm talking about? It has a lot more pro form scene creations, and you dig what I'm talking about. You can really lay it out how you want to. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all, this is a new channel, new everything. I'm just trying to work this stuff out right now. So y'all just keep rocking with me. You dig what I'm talking about? We just gonna keep building. I just want to see if because I haven't used the any of this stuff before. And this is the very first time. So you know what I mean? Leave your comments and all that stuff so I can just see how it works. You dig what I'm saying? It's kind of intuitive. It's sort of like StreamYard. Um, it's just a little more involved. Excuse me. It's a little more involved, but it's dope. You know, and I'm getting the hang of it. You dig what I'm saying? Let me see what I can do real quick with this. Let me see if I can leave comments. Dig what I'm saying? Okay. Hey, you dig what I'm saying? You can show them. Okay. Post up the comments. I see that I got the chat over here popping now. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all share this live out there. Let me see. You dig what I'm saying? Let me see. I don't even think I'm gonna go long or nothing like that. I'm saying. Let me see. I don't even think I'm not gonna do no whole. I don't know. You know what I mean? See who come in, man. You know. Shout out to the gang. Creator Gang is in the house. You dig what I'm talking about? Sega Resurrection Bound. You dig what I'm saying? All praise to the great spirit, the one that always was, is, and never shall be. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all come on in, man. Y'all thumb up the video. You dig what I'm saying? Should be sharing live on the YouTube Creator Gang TV 2. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to it. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the Creator Gang TV 2. You dig what I'm talking about? You get to sharing that good light. They might just wipe your channel out. Seems to be a theme. You dig what I'm saying, for all the people who've been sharing light for a long time. You dig what I'm saying? Oh, my man. A seeing spirit man up in the house. Peace family. He said, I'm working, but I'm listening. Okay, does it sound good on y'all side, y'all? Does it sound good? Y'all let me know what's going on. Y'all tap on in. Y'all tell me what's popping. Just me. What up, though? Rolling these wheels on how. That's right. Get that money. You know what I mean? This thing don't stop. Gotta do what you gotta do, baby. You dig what I'm saying? Okay, everything sound cool. Everything sound cool on my end. Do my mic sound right? You dig what I'm saying? I'm trying to adjust the volumes, get everything kind of like I like it. You dig what I'm saying? I'm glad y'all tapping in, man. Y'all thumb up the video, share the live, man. Y'all thumb up the video, share the live. We gonna get this thing out here, man. We building a new channel. You dig what I'm saying? We building a new channel, putting up new stuff. So this Cosmon first real thing, except for the Lost Books of King Og, man. Listen, if y'all haven't seen that, man, that's some information. If y'all into Raphaim, Nephilim, the spiritual world, you dig what I'm talking about. It's gonna blow your mind that you dig what I'm talking about. What none of this spiritual. In fact, that these were real men living, breathing, your so-called men of lore, your men of renown. You dig what I'm saying? And a bunch of things being revealed between King Og and Nimrod and Raphaim and Nephilim and 100,000 Giant War, man. Y'all go over there, y'all check your brother Cosmon Cal out working that AI, man, bringing out that Lost Books of King Og. I'm gonna figure out all the videos and everything on this and get this thing popping, man. And cause I'm working it out. You dig what I'm saying? So the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. You dig what I'm saying? I still did want to kind of share some information. You dig what I'm saying? I got a bunch of different stuff I like to show, a bunch of different builds. Shout out to all my Aboriginals out there. You dig what I'm talking about? Also, shout out to all my Israelite brothers out there, my Nazarenes and Essenes. You dig what I'm talking about? All the faithists, everybody out there giving it up for the Great Spirit. You dig what I'm saying? All love, light to y'all brothers, man, sisters. You dig what I'm saying? I'm gonna move this around here like this, and I want to kind of get into some of this this Aboriginal American history. You dig what I'm talking about? Tying a lot of this ancient history in the Americas together, this untold history. You dig what I'm saying? But one of the major things that we as people got to understand that happened to our people is a misnomering, right? They called you things that you weren't, right? Called you black. They called you Negro. They called you colored. You dig what I'm talking about? 100 different names. You dig what I'm saying? To hide your true identity. Even gave you a hyphenated term that had you look in a whole nother country when you weren't from there. Right? They gave you a term like African American, a hyphenated term. How a person could be both is beyond me. You dig what I'm saying? You are what you are. Right? So this this state of admixture that they try to force on our people. You dig what I'm talking about? Just because of the color of our skin has to be exposed. It's scientific, historic, archaeologic, paleontologic, racism, eugenics at its best. Haven't they always told us that the pen was mightier than the sword? Well, then how do you get rid of 10 million Americans? You pencil whip them. You just erase them. You dig what I'm talking about? You change them into Negroes, coloreds, Africans, blacks, whatever, right? But you dig what I'm saying? Let's chop it up a little bit. Let me get some of this going on real quick. Let me check this out, right? This is the shocking history of dark-skinned Native Americans, right? The Algonquins, the Muskogans, the Iroquois, the Siouan, right? Indigenous Americans revealed. The true natives, the Americans who were born here, the Aboriginals, right? The Autochthonous, the indigenous, right? We know when they use that term native, the term native wasn't being applied to a people in the Americas till 1960, and is an invented classification given to the Mongol people or the Eurasian stock that are on the res commonly. Now, shout out to y'all, because many of y'all have been mixed in since y'all got here in the 1200s. You dig what I'm saying? We're not saying that you're not before the European, and we're not saying that you're not native. We're just saying you're not the Aboriginal. You may have in time admixed, and you did. You did what I'm talking about, becoming various peoples, right? Mixing in with us, Indian on Indian, right? But a usurpation came because of backbiting, infighting, and the European mind playing both sides of the Aboriginal construct against the middle, right? Do a peace treaty deal with the Narragansett and tell them don't do one with the Pequot. Then they'll turn around and do one with the Pequot and tell them don't mess with the Narragansett. And then they'll start war on both sides, right? They'll start war on both sides, have the Narragansett and the Pequot kill each other while they kill both of them, right? And then usurp and take their land. And still use the same basic structure, right? But put their own little European twist on it. That's a cold do right there. It's the invasion of the body snatchers. For all intents and purposes, they just become you. Huh? Let's get into this shocking history of dark-skinned Native Americans, the true ancestors of today's modern Black American.
Identity has completely changed in the modern day. The idea that all African Americans are descended from African slaves transported by the transatlantic slave trade has persisted up until this point. It was thought that their forefathers were slaves with no other identification, and that they were foreigners who had traveled from Africa. However, the history that has been obscured and forgotten today reveals that African Americans' ancestors were indigenous to the United States. What proof exists that African Americans are descended from America's Aborigines, in contrast to the vast majority of the country's white people, who are the real outsiders arriving from Europe? Let's learn more about this in this video. Numerous indigenous tribes with a diverse range of physical traits, languages, and cultural customs lived in the Black History era, long before European invaders. Tightly curled hair and broad facial features were characteristics of these tribes, which included the Yamasee, Shaka, and other Caribbean and South American populations. Their dark-skinned tribes were native to the Americas, but European colonists mistakenly believed they were of African ancestry because of their traits. The same presumption, however, later resulted in their inclusion in the African racial group, which was the cause of their complete removal from the record as American tribes of dark-skin ancestry. European explorers' views and historical documents provide insights into these tribes' existence. For example, the physical diversity of Native American populations was thoroughly covered by explorer James Adair in his 1775 book The History of the American Indians. Adair compared the darker skin tones of some tribes to those of the Moors in Africa. Similar findings were made by other explorers and settlers, but their reports were frequently skewed by racial bias and a fixation with classification. These dark-skinned Aborigine tribes were eventually labeled as black, erasing their distinctive origins, as the colonists sought to establish rigid racial hierarchy. However, as we learn more about these dark-skinned tribes, their existence calls into question the oversimplified racial divisions that European colonists forced upon the Americas. It was challenging for the colonists to classify these tribes because of their obsession with race and skin color. The racial order that placed Europeans above all other groups would be appended if they recognized these dark-skinned people as Native Americans. In order to erase their identities as indigenous peoples and contribute to the misconception that all dark-skinned people in America were of African ancestry, colonizers frequently mixed these tribes with African slaves. There were several reasons for this historical oblivion. European colonizers strengthened the idea of racial inferiority that supported slavery and the eviction of Native Americans from their homeland by classifying dark-skinned Native Americans as African slaves. Because it made it simpler for Europeans to treat Native Americans and Africans as property, this classification also made it easier for these native populations to be enslaved. They lost their native identity while being enslaved. The argument that a sizable portion of the black people in modern-day America has Aboriginal ancestry is being made because of this. This is due to the fact that 5.5 million Native Americans were held as slaves in the Americas between 1492 and 1880, but this fact is not well known. The transatlantic slave trade, which took 12.5 million Africans to the Americas, coincided with this practice, and the two enslavement systems were closely related. Native Americans with dark skin were especially susceptible to slavery because of their physical similarity to Africans. Native Americans were enslaved and sold in the same marketplaces as Africans because European settlers frequently failed to distinguish between these two populations. For Native Americans with darker coloring, this lack of distinction had serious repercussions. Being enslaved meant losing one's identity in addition to one's freedom. Once enslaved, they were compelled to follow the traditions of their European captors, which resulted in the suppression of their cultural practices, languages, and histories. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the video in order to help us create more videos for you. It facilitates the algorithm so that more individuals may see this information. Now let's go on. It's interesting to note that the English colonies were not the only places where slavery and erasure occurred. For instance, many Native Americans were enslaved by Spanish colonists, especially in the Caribbean and South America, where there were many indigenous people with dark skin. In his book The Other Slavery, The Uncovered Story of Indian Enslavement in America, historian Andrés Rienz describes how the enslavement of Native Americans was a common practice that was essential to the growth of the colonial economy. African slaves and black Aboriginal tribes shared a common experience and a common goal of achieving liberation because they were both enslaved. This promoted interfaith marriage by bringing the two communities closer together. It should not be mistaken, though, that African Americans today are descended from black Aboriginal people. Technically, these kinds of marriages produced hybrid children with both Native American and African ancestry.
Real quick, I just got to give fair use out there. You dig what I'm talking about? Bishop X, man. Everybody, thank y'all for coming in, man. Share the live out real quick, man. Let people know we got to get the algorithm pumping. You dig what I'm talking about? This is a new channel. A lot of people don't know about it. You dig what I'm saying? So we bringing out some of this information, and we just going to keep building. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all share the live out real quick, and we'll just keep it moving. real quick, but had to throw that fair use off up in that thing real quick, man. Let's get back to it.
When black Aborigines married Africans. However, when the black Aborigines married each other, they continued to have dark-skinned, African-looking children. As a result, African Americans today have an equal probability of being Native American and African or Native American only. You should be aware that mixed-race people were not reclassified by accident. It was a component of the U.S. government's larger plan to take Native American only, continued to have dark-skinned, African-looking children. As a result, ancestry, when black Aborigines married Africans. However, when the black Aborigines married each other, they continued to have dark-skinned, African-looking children. As a result, African Americans today have an equal probability of being Native American and African or Native American only. You should be.
That's a Hadouken. So a quote-unquote black guy, a quote-unquote Negro, even though he looks African, can be 100% indigenous to the Americas. And when you got a people who are not of your people trying to tell you about your people, with a spiritual state that could think of an evil as great as chattel slavery, trying to tell you about you, you better take that with a grain of salt. The dark-skinned people of America are the Americans. We don't need Africans to have dark skin. We had dark skin before anybody got here, even the Native Americans. The Native Americans are primarily Siberian and European. Asian or Eurasian, European and Asian. The Aboriginal American is quote-unquote Negroidal. Yet, he's not African. This is what an American looks like. Let's go.
Be aware that mixed-race people were not reclassified by accident. It was a component of the U.S. government's larger plan to take Native American resources and territory. The Dawes Act of 1887 was one of the most important laws in this area. By splitting common tribal lands into individual allotments, the Dawes Act, also called the General Allotment Act, sought to integrate Native Americans into European American civilization. Allotments of land were made to Native Americans who were listed on tribal rolls. Those who were not included in this procedure. However, it was frequently purposefully difficult for people of mixed African and Native American origin to claim their Native American background. The government may deny these people the land rights associated with tribal membership by labeling them African Americans instead of Native Americans. There were two reasons for this reclassification. It eliminated the indigenous identity of those of African heritage and decreased the number of individuals eligible for land allotments, hence increasing the quantity of land available for European settlement. Due to the fact that they were slaves and had dark skin, native tribes were denied their land. This made it easier for the American authorities to dismiss the original black tribes as Africans vying for land. The United States government was also able to seize a significant...
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? They was able to change the Aboriginals to Africans. Why? Because their skin was dark. Writ them off as slaves, in a sense, turning them to blacks, Negroes, and coloreds. Being mightier than a sword, y'all.
For land allotments, hence increasing the quantity of land available for European settlement. Due to the fact that they were slaves and had dark skin, native tribes were denied their land. This made it easier for the American authorities to dismiss the original black tribes as Africans vying for land. The United States government was also able to seize a significant quantity of Native American territory thanks to the Dawes Act. Under the strategy, the government was able to sell surplus land that was not given to specific Native Americans, to European settlers. The government was able to deny land allocations to people of mixed African and Native American heritage by reclassifying them as African Americans, which made it easier to seize native territories. Native American communities suffered greatly as a result of this land expropriation process. Many were displaced and lost their ancestral lands. There were significant cultural repercussions as well from the classifications of mixed people. The government helped erase Native American heritage within the African American population by classifying them as African Americans. The indigenous heritage of African Americans with Native descent was eventually forgotten as they were and lost their ancestral lands. There were significant cultural repercussions as well from the classifications of mixed people. The government helped erase Native American heritage within the African American population by classifying them as African American. The indigenous heritage of African Americans with Native descent was eventually forgotten as they were encouraged to identify only with their African roots. Even though a sizable portion of the African American population is probably derived from Native tribes, this erasure was so thorough that many African Americans today are ignorant of their Native American heritage. Black people's physical characteristics, cultural customs, and family history all reflect their background today. Some seem very different while being black, while others have a culture and appearance similar to Africans. This is due to the fact that they are direct descendants of black Aboriginal people, rather than having a mixed heritage. For instance, certain African Americans share physical traits with Native Americans, like straight hair, prominent cheekbones, and specific skin tones. Even though Native American heritage has been obliterated from history for many years, these characteristics serve as live reminders of it for many African Americans. During the transatlantic slave trade, African Americans were taught that their ancestors were exclusively African slaves who were transported to the Americas. This story leaves out the indigenous heritage that many African Americans share, even though it is not wholly untrue. The U.S. government and European settlers led to a skewed perception of African American identity by severing this relationship, which caused many to become estranged from their complete lineage. African Americans are currently involved in a growing effort to rediscover the lost history and reclaim their Native American heritage. What are your thoughts? Do the majority of African Americans now have Native American or African slave ancestry? Based on your family's true stories, what do you know about your ancestry? Post your ideas in the space provided for comments directly below. Tell us what you think about the fact that African Americans are more native-born Americans than European-born white Americans. Do you want to see more videos from us? If so, Kindly click the bell icon and When talking about influential Africans in European history, it's fair to wonder if we've forgotten about them or if they've been written out of history entirely. How difficult is it to reveal these facts? Efforts to eradicate any representations of black people as deities or in positions of authority were common goals of the iconoclast movement, according to historians. Many people call those who hold this view historical revisionists. The existence of a substantial black aristocracy in Europe before 1453 is suggested by more than simply a handful of images. A large amount of evidence still exists, even though there have been constant attempts to hide and eradicate this African presence for centuries. In 1352, Jacob van Maerlant painted a renowned scene depicting Charlemagne vanquishing a Moorish chief, but the chief was portrayed as a black African by the artist. A foundation built on the wisdom of the past sings the wisdom that will build our tomorrow. The truth is that historical revisionists are the ones who refuse to acknowledge the mountain of evidence showing that black people, as part of a second wave of civilizing influence, revitalized Europe and set the stage for its renaissance. Black Africans introduced literature, science, religion, and culture to Europe and the Levant after creating agriculture about 9500 BC and building the two most important civilizations of antiquity, Sumer and Kemet, also known as Ancient Egypt. These innovations were passed down to the Roman Empire, which used them until it fell in the 5th century AD. The Moors, an ethnic group originally from Africa, arrived to Europe in the 8th century just as the continent was plunging into the Dark Ages. They brought with them the technology and knowledge that had halted its progress up until that point. The ethnic composition of the Moors changed throughout the 800 years that they ruled Spain. In the era before the Renaissance in Europe, the first waves of Moors, mostly black Africans, held great sway and filled important positions of power. As they joined the first wave of civilizers, these early Moors established a new class of elites across Europe. All sorts of relics and documents from the past attest to their existence. Just because black Africans played a crucial role in the Renaissance doesn't mean that Asians and Europeans can't establish civilizations as well. On the contrary, it emphasizes how the Dark Ages Europe profited much from the reintroduction of scientific knowledge, philosophical ideas, medical practices, and architectural masterpieces brought by a black African elite who eventually became a noble class. Countless pieces of medieval art and literature lend credence to this assertion. Our goal in the development of both ancient and modern societies. The channel would not exist without the support of those who see the value of history for people of all backgrounds. Historical personalities are portrayed in memoirs of the Secret Service of John Mackie with great detail. One account that stands out is that of Mr. Methuen, Portugal's ambassador. He is characterized as a man of intrigue with a very muddy complexion, and in manners much like a Spaniard, a tall black man 50 years old. To this day, Mackie has never changed his description of the Moors, calling them tall men of black complexion. This portrayal is consistent with the Moors seen in medieval manuscripts, sculptures, and paintings. Artists and authors of the time often depicted the Moors with distinctive black looks, even though the Moorish population was comprised of Arabs as well as black Africans. This was due to the great number of black Africans among the Moors. The Almoravids, who were mainly black Africans from what is now Mali and Mauritania, were one powerful group. Among their many innovations that they transported to Europe was the horseshoe arch. The following is an account of the Almoravids from the Historia Compostelana. After almost 3 years, the Almoravids, Mobit, whom the heat of the sun makes similar to the Ethiopians, invaded the fortresses and dependent towns of Toledo and attacked with more force than usual. Adding to the description, before they ruled, they had worn their veil in the desert only against the heat and cold as the Arabs do, and were mostly of dark Asmar complexion. A shade as black as coal is described by the Arabic word Asmar. Identifiable black characteristics were used to portray leaders such as Abu Bakr ibn Umar. Europe was in a state of disarray in 711 AD when the Moors spearheaded their conquest of Spain. Europe was in shambles, with hunger, ignorance, illness, and anarchy ravaging the continent 3 centuries ago, when the Roman Empire collapsed. With the coming of the Moors came the fast advancement of European society and the unification of previously divided groups under the Church. Despite their negative reputation, the Moors introduced many innovations to the region, including the Arabic numeral system, geometry, mathematics, medicine, agriculture, building, music, navigation, papermaking, and waterworks. In the end, These things were crucial to the Renaissance that happened in Europe. These Africans frequently brought Arabic translations of classical Greek writings back to Europe, ensuring their survival. Africans began to make more and more appearances in European royal and nobility families as the ages passed. A lot of Europeans even saw their gods reflected in this black presence. Still, many people have a hard time seeing Africans as revered characters because of the iconoclast movement's persistent efforts in this regard. Iconoclasm has been around since at least the 8th century.
If y'all want to hit the link, man, somebody hit the link, man. Come on up. Holler at your cousin real quick. You'll be the very first person on this new system. You'll be helping me out. You dig what I'm saying? But, I know they switched over to showing, the Black African presence of Africa and Europe with the Moors. So y'all don't, who are Aboriginal, don't close your ears. You dig what I'm saying? Because these people who they keep calling African, did they just call them African the same way that they calling you African? Right? They lied when they called you African. Why ain't they lying when they calling these people African? If they're melanated people everywhere, wouldn't there be melanated people in Europe? Could these just be the Moors? Huh? And they just came to adopt Islam over time? Huh? Just like they adopted Christianity, just like they adopted Judaism. Even the true Jews are Negroidal, right? They just took on a religious practice. You know what I mean? Same thing with Constantine and them, with the Ptolemies, with the Persians, with the Medes. No different. You dig what I'm saying? But y'all want to come on in, man, hit the link. Come chop it up with your bro, man. We just going to keep chopping it up. Burning this midnight oil, man. Early in the morning. Cloud kicker, just kicking clouds. You dig what I'm talking about? Dropping some of this information. You dig what I'm talking about? This is the shocking hidden history of dark-skinned Native Americans revealed. The true Aboriginals. We're going to get off into this. We're going to learn who they really are. We're going to learn who the Indians are. The Aboriginals. Let's keep building, y'all. Let's go.
However, it takes on a more muted form in modern times. Historians cherry-pick instances that support the slave narrative while ignoring the divine or nobility roles played by black people. The remarkable evolution of depictions of Queen Elizabeth I over time is a startling illustration of this historical erasure. Chronicles of Black's Channel delves into this viewpoint in depth, using primary sources and peer-reviewed research to highlight the frequently neglected African influence and presence throughout history. In his letter, Ambassador Giovanni Michel said, "She was born to Henry VIII and Anne, an Englishwoman of high family, after Queen Catherine's, the current queen's, rejection. Your Serenity should know this because she is the sister of the present queen. Despite being beheaded for adultery 2 years later, my Lady Elizabeth was born in September 1533, making her 23 years old today. Although her face is more attractive than handsome, this young woman is just as well regarded for her intellect as she is for her physical beauty. She has good-looking, though swarthy, skin, and is tall and toned." Swarthy means dark complexion or black in Old English, in case you were wondering. Despite this, Elizabeth is typically shown in pictures with pale complexion and fiery red hair. Pay attention to this because it will be crucial later on. Sir James Melvin gives the following description of Elizabeth in his work English and Scottish History, which is another version of her. "Her naturally curly hair was more reddish than yellow. She wanted to know if my hair was considered the best hue, if hers or my queen's was better, and which of the two was the fairest." Many of these women have naturally curly red hair, which is a common hairstyle for black women. The description of Elizabeth as having dark skin and red curly hair is therefore constant. In case you needed more proof that iconoclasm destroyed many depictions of black aristocracy, here's how Queen Elizabeth describes Sir Francis Walsingham in her book Queen Elizabeth by Alison Weir. Having received an education at Cambridge and Padua, Walsingham became a member of Parliament when he was nearly 40 years old. Cecil, who later became his patron, gave him a position at court and made him head of his secret operatives. Elizabeth dubbed Walsingham more due of his dark complexion and black attire. That Sir Francis Walsingham was swarthy of complexion, and the Queen's nickname for him, Moor, is plain to see in this passage. But if we look for pictures of him, we can see that he is everything but swarthy. Black Moors didn't just show up in England. They showed up all over Europe, even in unexpected spots. The monarch in Scotland during the 10th century was called Dub Mac Mael Coluim. Historical dictionaries suggest that Dub used to denote black in Scotland. His complexion has been lightened in subsequent portrayals, but it was previously shown as dark. By narrating the reign of Kenneth the Niger over 3 Scottish districts, the Mystery of Legends of Scotland verifies the existence of black Scots. According to author and archaeologist David MacRitchie, the Moors remained in Scotland until the reign of the Saxon monarchs. Throughout the Middle Ages, black aristocracy was still present on the European peninsula. A medallion from 16th century Italy shows a European king with distinct African characteristics. The king's identity is unknown. The same holds true for the 12th century Italian philosopher Ibn Rushd, also known as Averroes. Among the many black Moors who held the throne were rulers of great empires, such as the Byzantine Empire. In the Relatio of Liutprand of Cremona, for example, Nicephorus II Phocas is portrayed as very quickly through the thickness and length of his hair, in the color of an Ethiopian, someone you wouldn't want to cross paths with in the dead of night. The way he is portrayed in contemporary art, however, differs greatly from this description. The most revered Byzantine monarch of all time, John II Komnenos, 1118 to 1143, was characterized as. Despite being known as the Moor, this man is of medium height and has black hair and skin. William of Tyre's Chronology, 1523. Likewise, according to Nicetas Choniates, who lived during his time, Manuel I Komnenos was described as one particular Ethiopian with dark skin. As they crowned him emperor of the Romans, they escorted him in a royal parade. But photos of them taken after the iconoclast period look different. King Augustus the Strong of Poland, Polish nobleman Leszek the Black from the 13th century, Polish knight Zawisza the Black, Queen Charlotte of the Holy Roman Empire, whose family tree includes Moorish-Portuguese blood, and the list goes on and on. Edward of York's wife, Philippa of Hainaut, was born in 1310 in Valenciennes, France, and she too had black Moorish descent. Also reflecting black influence spanning ages are figures such as theologian Jacobus Capetine, composer George Bridgetower, who rivaled Beethoven, and writer Alexander Dumas, *The Three Musketeers*. The African heritage of numerous European nobles, knights, judges, dukes, duchesses, viscounts, led to the incorporation of black phenotypic into European cultural rites. There are numerous fascinating activities that come to light when one looks at the long-lasting cultural aspects that originated in medieval Europe. Wearing wigs is the earliest famous practice. This custom originated in the courtroom, and historical records reveal that attorneys were expected to present themselves in court with neat, short hair and beards until the 17th century. For all intents and purposes, wigs made their debut in courtrooms as a social accessory. Wearing a wig was considered proper courtesies during the reign of Charles II, 1660 to 1685. Who, then, was the model that the populace was trying to emulate? They were acting out a scene from Henry II. The Merry Monarch, Charles II, 1630 to 1685, was a healthy-looking infant who appeared much older at 4 months of age. He looked like a 1-year-old, according to his mother's complaint. Charles, who was referred to as a tall black man on parliamentary wanted posters, began fighting in the English Civil War when he was 12 years old. If Charles II was said to be a tall black guy, then why wouldn't artworks included on Wikipedia reflect that? You probably already know the drill. His natural hairstyle, together with that of old black nobility, started to impact important parts of European society. The pictures show how the curly hair on the shoulders of the medieval wigs resembles the hairstyles of Africans. The issue it begs is, whose hair was it that these wigs were trying to imitate if not African hairstyles? These wigs are definitely unlike your average European haircut, thanks to their tightly curled texture. Black Africans are the only people on the planet with this unique style of kinky hair.
Wrong.
The YouTube channel straight up raised the question.
Wrong. That's just flat out wrong. As a matter of fact, most Africans do not grow long hair, period. Right? Showing that they're probably wrong about this phenotype of quote unquote Moors from Europe, because if they are doing the wig styling as a homage to black hair, right? It would necessitate that the Africans are quote unquote known for long hair, and they're not. So, are they copying not a African style, but more a European or American style, right? Being that we do have long, black, coarse hair, right? And we do grow it out, and that is a description, right? A known description of the American Indian. Gang, gang up in this thing. Dread, Cali Connect. What's the word, bro? You know what I mean? Just chopping it up real quick. So it is not likely that if they are using the wig as a representation of nobility in the courts or what they're seeing, they are taking this from a European style, right? Could be from darker skinned people, but the darker skinned people doesn't necessitate African, right? This is what we gotta understand. They try to pigeonhole us in this world, right? And think about it. If they misnomered you in America and called you an African, and you were never African, you were in fact indigenous to America, right? Wouldn't they be doing, or is it possible that they could be doing it to the same thing, do the same thing to brown skinned people in the areas where they come from? Not only Elizabeth is melanated, right? Much of the oligarchy at this time, or kingship, queenship at this time, are melanated. We can get even down into the 1800s with Charlotte herself. You dig what I'm saying? A quote unquote black German. It is not true that the African is the only person with long, black, coarse nigga hair in the world. No, that's wrong. And a WASPy even clears that up. As much as they want to hate, a WASPy even cleared that up. You dig what I'm talking about? And describes the American Indian. But we're going to get into that a little later. You dig what I'm saying? Let's just keep chopping it up. I just wanted to point out some of the fallacies and the changing in history and the understanding that our people are having today. And even this brother is just spitting back these regurgitated racial constructs, right? And he's probably doing that to dumb down the conversation for those who don't know. Well, if they don't know, they'll never know if you keep feeding into the BS, right? So, we gotta point these fallacies out, right? Africans are not even known for growing long hair, period. Especially the so-called sub-Saharan black Negroid, Congoloid, Bantu type. No, they don't grow long hair at all. Not for the most part, not saying that some don't. Yeah, but no, they're not known for that. So could this be a misnomer, period? Right? That these Europeans are in fact aboriginal to Europe also, not Africa. You don't need Africa to have brown skin. Huh? Check East India. Check. Check Southeast Asia. Check. Check North America. Check. Let's get back to it.
Of why anybody, particularly members of high society and monarchy, would go for these specific African hairstyles if given the choice? The big posterior, which was once rejected or scorned but is today highly sought after, was another characteristic that women in medieval Europe imitated. For instance, in the 2020s, there were around 397,000 Brazilian butt lift procedures performed on women. This does not even account for the countless women who dedicate countless hours to the gym to gain muscle in that particular area. Women in medieval Europe went so far as to fashion accessories like the bustle to draw attention to their posteriors. Lipstick, in my opinion, may have first been designed to mimic another trait, specifically the larger, more desirable lips of black women. Nonetheless, I will investigate this further at a later time. This in no way implies that white women are less attractive than black women. The evidence merely demonstrates that black women in authoritative roles had a profound impact on medieval European society, inspiring a desire to emulate their looks and demeanor. Curiously, the inverse is also true. Some black women are attempting to mimic more conventional European hairstyles. We must acknowledge that mainstream historians' depictions of history may be, at most, erroneous and at worst deceiving, as Benjamin Franklin put it. Franklin penned, "Why should we put up with the invading Palatine Boers, who are actually Germans, settling down in our towns and gradually replacing our language and customs with theirs? Why should Pennsylvania, a province originally settled by English, become a melting pot of aliens who will soon outnumber us and Germanize us rather than the other way around? They can't possibly take on our skin color, much less our..."
Ben Franklin said they can't possibly take on our skin color. Why? Remember, they're talking about Europeans, y'all. Why? He's going to let y'all in on a great secret. This is the letter of Ben Franklin, 1751. Europe is full of black folks. Watch this.
Our language or traditions, which brings me to my next point. There are disproportionately few individuals on Earth who are white. In Africa, every single person is either black or tawny.
You hear that? In Africa, every single person on the Earth in Africa is dark or tawny. Tawny meaning brown, right? Lightish brown. You're going to talk about copper color. He said the proportionate number of white people are very, very small. Let's go back one more time. I'm gonna let him tell it to you. Watch this.
Much less our language or traditions, which brings me to my next point. There are disproportionately few individuals on Earth who are white.
There are few people on the Earth who are white. Period. This 1751. Watch this.
In Africa, every single person is either black or tawny. In Asia, the majority of people are tawny. In the Americas, every single person is black or tawny.
In America, every single person is black or tawny. It's Benjamin Franklin, y'all. I'll run it back one more time because y'all ain't gonna believe Cosmo, but y'all will believe this white man if he tell you. So let him tell you again. It's only the proportionate number of melanated people to pale-skinned people is the same today as it was then. It's only roughly 19% of the world has pale skin. That's it. 80% is melanated, And those are just facts. Those are modern modal statuses, and it's always been the same. It ain't changed since the beginning of time till now. Why and how we know? Because man can add mix. When you mix a brown man with a brown woman, you get a brown baby. You mix a brown woman with a blue black one, you get a chocolate brown one. You mix them with a white one, you get a light yellow brown with it. We know how this works, right? What niggas don't want to understand is that white skin is not only specific to the modern European. The very first quote unquote Europeans, right, are melanated, right? They still go on to produce the pale skin. Why? Genetics. Parts of the genetics that weren't being read started being read, right? Why? Because they help in the environment that they're in. Hence the hair change. Hence, the eye color seems to have been there the whole time, right? But hence the skin change and the lifestyle difference. And being the last of the people to come up out of the caves, you dig what I'm talking about? We got to understand that these people popping up on the scene, they are marauding. They're the last of the barbarians. But many of them barbarians had brown skin. Don't get it twisted. You gotta look past the skin color. What you do tells you who you are.
Eyes us rather than the other way around. They can't possibly take on our skin color, much less our language or traditions. Which brings me to my next point. There are disproportionately few individuals on Earth who are white. In Africa, every single person is either black or tawny. In Asia, the majority of people are tawny. In the Americas, every single person is black or tawny. And in Europe, the majority of the Spanish, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are dark-skinned. The majority of the Germans, with the exception of the Saxons, are also dark-skinned. And the English are the most numerous white people on the planet. A portion of Franklin's quote is frequently left out. The black German king George II occupied the throne of England in 1751, the year in which Franklin penned this article. One could ask, where did all those black people go? If there were really so many black people in Europe. A complex chain of events led to the decline of the black European population. And here is the solution. Some examples of these events are the Jacobite exile, forced migration, the Reconquista, and the Inquisition. Islam, a new religion brought to Europe by Arabs and Africans, caused a revolt in Europe following the conquest of the Iberian Peninsula by the mostly black Moors. The result of this resistance was the Reconquista, an armed and cultural conflict that lasted from the 8th to the 15th century. At this time, the cruel Inquisition was underway, and its goal was to exterminate Protestant converts and Jews. Judaism and Protestantism were religions that many black people had turned to from Islam because they were consistent with their earlier convictions. The Spanish Inquisition began in 1478 with the goal of strengthening Catholic authority through the persecution of heretics, such as Jews who converted to Christianity and Muslims who were baptized. To coerce conformity and get confessions, the Inquisition resorted to cruel tactics such as torture. Despite the fact that
and this is how many of these people get their quote-unquote Christian names. Becoming conversos, force converted into Catholicism. You dig what I'm saying? From their prior practice of Judaism or Islam or Taoism, Buddhism. You dig what I'm saying? Brahmanism, Hinduism, they were all on the earth at the same time too. So, but we see these forced conversions during the Inquisition. Hundreds of years of fighting, pushing the God spell of Luamang, onto the people. We gonna delve off up in this just a little bit more, man. He cooking right now, so we just gonna keep going.
Many Jews claim to have converted to Christianity in an effort to flee persecution. The conversos were nonetheless singled out and eventually expelled. The Jewish community in Spain was devastated in 1492 when Ferdinand and Isabella issued an edict requiring Jews to convert or depart the country. Moors who had sought refuge in Judaism were numerous among these Jews. Eventually, in the early 17th century, the Moriscos were exiled as a result of being persecuted by the Inquisition. As a result, many African Americans emigrated. Eventually, in the early 17th, an edict requiring Jews to convert or depart the country. Moors who had sought refuge in Judaism were numerous among these Jews.
Moors who had sought refuge in Judaism. Moors that sought refuge in Judaism, when Isabella and them put them out, they got caught up in that. So you had converso Moriscos fronting as Jews, converts to Catholicism. This is crazy. I'm gonna let it cook a little bit. Let's keep going.
Eventually, in the early 17th century, the Moriscos were exiled as a result of being persecuted by the Inquisition. As a result, many African Americans emigrated to Jamaica and other countries from Ireland to Spain. The origin of the Anglo-Saxon race demonstrates that a considerable percentage of the people in Scotland and Ireland was black before the Viking invasion in the late 8th century. Surnames and historical sources that mention this heritage include Blackman, Blackman Blake, Seward, meaning swarthy, Stuart, and Cert. The African Americans in this area eventually became the Jacobites, who sided with King James, or
y'all know King James' last name is Stuart, right? Y'all do know that, right? King James' last name is Stuart or Swart. Let's go back a little bit. These Jacobites go on to fight alongside King James. They end up losing. And then they get deported, indentured or enslaved in the Americas. Watch this. Watch this.
Percentage of the people in Scotland and Ireland was black before the Viking invasion in the late 8th century. Surnames and historical sources that mention this heritage include demonstrates that a Inquisition were numerous among these Jews. Eventually, in the early 17th century, the Moriscos were exiled as a result of being persecuted by the Inquisition. As a result, many African Americans emigrated to Jamaica and other countries from Ireland to Spain. The origin of the Anglo-Saxon race demonstrates that a considerable percentage of the people in Scotland and Ireland was black before the Viking invasion in the late 8th century. Surnames and historical sources that mention this heritage include Blackman, Blackman Blake, Seward, meaning swarthy, Stuart, and Cert. The African Americans in this area eventually became the Jacobites, who sided with King James, or Jacobus. Exile to the Americas was the fate of many Jacobites. According to J. Macbeth Forbes's Jacobite Gleanings, the transportation of the Jacobites in 1745, passenger manifests reveal that
Now, I got a theory that your boy Martin Luther King, or Malcolm, Michael, excuse me, right? His name was Michael, changed to Martin Luther King, that the reason that his grandfather and father, right, were being persecuted and attempts on their life had been taken, and why King himself rises to authority or whatever, you dig what I'm talking about, or to prominence, and why the FBI, before it was the FBI, before the Mann Act, before they were ever even watching Blackjack Johnson and creating the interstate, Mann Act laws and all that, before that, before they were even the FBI, and were part of the DOD still, they were watching King's grandfather and them. Why? My theory, I haven't been able to prove it yet, but once I get into his line and all that stuff of who his people is genealogically, my theory is that King, and why his last name King, descends from the last of the line of the Stuarts, the Schwartz. This Jacobite bloodline of Ireland and Scotland, huh? Interesting, ain't it? What if King is of the line of kings? Let it sink in.
Jacobites were transported to Antigua and other Caribbean locations, thus forcing them into exile. An intriguing aspect of this is that their names and physical characteristics are provided, and it is evident that the bulk of them are black. Both William Blake and Douglas Campbell have dark complexions and black curly hair. Keep in mind that the Old English words Dougal and Doug signify black, hence, many people with these names descend from ancestral black families. Alex Katak, auburn-haired, robust. John F. Kennedy is also black, and Angus McIntosh is black and extremely powerful, so it's not just at the very top. The
Now,
list
when they
is
talk
endless.
about John F. Kennedy, I know
The great
y'all
majority
heard
of
that.
African American Kennedy is also signify black, hence,
Hold on.
many people with these
I don't
names
want
descend.
y'all to get it misconstrued. When they're talking about John F. Kennedy, this person from Ireland, who was a Jacobite, fought alongside King James, lost, and was enslaved in the Americas, in the Caribbeans. You dig what I'm talking about? Took from Ireland and enslaved in the Caribbean, right? He is described as a black man. John, and his name is John F. Kennedy. I want y'all to let that sink in. Hundreds of years before the John F. Kennedy get shot as president. Interesting though, this man, Jacobite, obviously Israelitish, at least in practice, or Judaic in practice, right? Kennedy is a black man. Shipped to the Americas on a boat. How do they become white? Interesting.
Descend from ancestral black families. Alex Katak, auburn-haired, robust. John F. Kennedy is also black,
just so you know,
and Angus
they're describing the Jacobites. Now, I have this PDF somewhere of the Jacobites, and I also have John Mackey's book, which describes these people, excuse me, in Europe, right? And in many parts, in most parts, these is niggas. I'ma just be real. He just describe them as niggas. He do. But on these indenture slave rolls of these people being took across the transatlantic, coming from Ireland, they describe them. Watch your boy JFK. Watch this.
McIntosh is black and extremely powerful, so it's not just at the very top.
Jacobites.
The list is endless. The great majority of African Americans came to the United States via ship, although a smaller but nonetheless significant minority of African Americans from Europe either fled persecution at home or were forcibly transported there. The large number of black people in Europe was decimated by the Reconquista, the Inquisition, and forced exile. After their removal, all representations of influence were systematically erased from icons, leading to the illusion of a solely European medieval history. As a result, people of Afro descent can no longer see themselves reflected in the nobility of bygone days. Furthermore, they have brought about a group of individuals who have been brought up with this falsehood, who have never dared to challenge it, and who now utilize it to justify their own racial supremacy. But we know from looking at the past that this is completely false. Africans, this time donning turbans, offer the suffering Europeans the seeds of civilization once again, just as they had done 9,500 years ago when the Black Natufians shared the knowledge of agriculture with everyone, and again between 300 and 500 BC when they taught the Greeks everything they knew. Because of this, as we will see in the part that follows, they were once again worshipped as gods. The most fascinating compilation of Christian icons may be found in the lately rediscoverable book Russian Icons by Father Vladimir Ivanov. The fact that it is located in Russia in Eastern Europe, rather than Western Europe, and that it portrays a lot of Christian icons as black make it very intriguing. Throughout, other words, from Spain to Russia, black people were worshipped as gods throughout France, Italy, Germany, and Spain. Not including the ones secreted at the Vatican, there are a total of at least 500 black Madonnas in Europe, with 128 of them located in France alone. Also, keep in mind that these images withstood many waves of iconoclasm. Thus, they were likely widely used across Europe long before famous artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo were commissioned to paint the iconic ionized face of Jesus that is known today. As always, we must inquire critically, why were black people shown and venerated throughout Europe if the official historical account is correct, and they have never accomplished anything noteworthy? What is even more puzzling is the fact that black people appear in a plethora of European paintings, sculptures, and plays. The intentional erasure and methodical annihilation of the icon endured from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, from Germany to Italy, and beyond, all because they were present in such large numbers and had such influence. Just one more thing about black Africans in medieval Europe before we go. The Spanish king, Philip II, is depicted here. The fact that Philip was born to Holy Roman Emperor Charles I made him anything than average. Count Augustus and Christian John George are seen in this painting. John George was the Elector of Saxony. Christian was a king from Scandinavia. Elector of Saxony Augustus is the final one on the right. You can see that the coin bears their names. Among the many details provided in a description of the Western Islands of Scotland is the following. The inhabitants of this isle are generally well proportioned, and their complexion is for the most part black. There is a crest here. I included this as an example. Ivy Williams' coat of arms from 1485. The inhabitants of this isle are well proportioned, generally brown, and some of black complexion, reads the book A Description of the Western Islands of Scotland, which is where we find the information regarding the Isle of On. They are in excellent health and have a natural talent for any kind of work. But now we're reaching a crucial point in the book. Here we have Charles, a prominent character during Edward VI's reign, who was also known as the Duke of Somerset and the Master of the Horse of the historic Seymour family. Keep in mind that the Jacobites are the ones he is spying on. Here we are at the section of the book where his appearance is described. He is of medium stature, well-shaped, and very black complexion. He loves music and poetry. He has good judgment, but he is very hesitant when he speaks. He is expressive. He is in his early 40s. James Vernon, Esquire. Here is another. During the reign of King Charles II, he served as a clerk in the office of the secretary. The author describes him as a tall, thin man of brown complexion. However, the Wikipedia photo of him does not do justice to the individual. The attribution of this painting may have been incorrect, all things considered. But if this is true, they have erroneously assigned thousands of portraits, and none of these instances feature a prominent black man instead of a white one. A second coin featuring Augustus, Elector of Saxony, is seen here. Many Moors converted to Protestantism in order to avoid persecution during the Reconquista and the Inquisitions. The Saxons were Lutherans, a significant branch of Protestantism. Known as the Moor because of his dark complexion, Alessandro de' Medici ruled Florence from 1530 until his death in 1537. Along with becoming the first Medici to hold the title of hereditary monarch, he oversaw Florence. It goes without saying that this is a fresco painting of a knight's tournament. Listen to the prophets. They will be portrayed as men of color. Keep in mind, the prophets are all men of dark complexion, yet his clothing is white. Why? Because the prophets, whenever mentioned in the Bible, are usually described as men of dark complexion, and our ancestors are invariably described as black men. As guys of race, they portrayed them in that way. But then what? Do not forget this. The years 1453 marked the beginning of the Renaissance. Page 60 of A History and Art states that we will be visiting Spain.
Did y'all hear that? That don't even become significant till you understand time and the timetables of prophecy, right? 1453. Why is that important? Why is 1453 important? Brian Young up in this thing. Why is 1453 important? Huh? Why does that start off the age of exploration and so-called the golden era or time of industry? Why is 1453 important? That is the end of Escra and begins the time of S, or the 400-year time, right? Before the Cosmine era. Yeah. Yep. It's right on point. Right? Ain't the Archibald 3,400 years old? If you start in 1553 and you go 3,000 years, where are you at? 1453 AD. You start in 1553 BC, the start of the Archibald, go 3,000 years, right? 1453 BC, the end of Escra, 400 years before the Ark of Cosmine. You wouldn't catch that. You wouldn't catch that. You dig what I'm talking about? Guess what? The year before that, they Pope Innocent had signed Dum Diversus. Right? Time of expiration comes around. Owaspie explains why this happens. You dig what I'm saying? That's the dope part about Owaspie. But let's get into some of what Owaspie is explaining what's going on. What Owaspie is explaining what's going on with these people in America. The American Indian, misnomered as Native American, misnomered as Negro, misnomered as Black, misnomered as colored, misnomered as people of color, misnomered as African American, misnomered as slave. Huh? How many times you gonna change a people's status? Misnomered as mulatto. But what is the ancient name of the people of the Americas? What do they call themselves? And do they still call themselves today? Well, we're going to find out that what we call the so-called Negro today of America is called an Angui. As this is from the Owaspie Index, right? It says the Angui, the same as is called Indian. It signifies what? signifies talking animal or speaking man. Huh? Smart, upright. Ions, all right? Angui, the ions mingle with the drugs to create a second speaking man, the Angui, the Aboriginal American, the Anguigans, huh? Modern Angui types. Gan means modern man. The Angui is a mix between the mound builder stock and the world's people, the Druks. These Anguis are the American Indians. So a Anguigan, and Gan meaning modern man, is the modern or modern Indian. The Anguigan is the modern Indian, the so-called Negro of America. The misnomered African American is an Anguigan. Look, it's even in the word. Look, if you take the N and you move the two E's, right? Move the two E's in between the N and the G, and you move the O to the N, you get Negro. Now, Jaja say, today in the Cosmon era, you will readily know these people. Now, I would dare anybody to go into their phone right now and call up they nearest Angui homeboy. Right? You don't know no Anguis. But if I ask you to call your nearest Negroid homeboy, your Negro homie in your phone, huh? Then it starts to make sense. But once you figure out that these Anguis, these Anguigan, these Anguis, right, are the same thing as Indian, but the Indian was misnomered Negro, it start to make a little sense, right? Let's look at what Owaspy got to say about these Anguis, these Indians of America, because Owaspy go on to describe these Indians, right? This is the Lord's third book, chapter 2 and 2. It describes them. Look, and the Anguis, remember the Anguis are the Indians, the Negroes of America, huh? The misnomered African Americans, the blacks. They are Indians. Remember, we're just talking about North America, right? We're only talking about North America. So we're going to describe the people. Owaspy is the only book in the world, spiritual-wise, that describes the Aboriginal America and then let you know that these Indians are the misnomer Negroes today. Right? Why? Because it describes them. Right? The Indians, the Anguis, the upright men, the first of men, came suddenly into the world. We're talking about North America. But America, period. But we speaking on North America. By the thousands and thousands they came in the north, right? Where we at, in the south, in the east and west. And they had what? Long, black, and coarse hair. Now, I just tapped in long, black, coarse hair into Google. I didn't do nothing else. right? Look what Google has to say. Now remember, we're talking about the Aboriginal American. The one that comes from mound builder stock, and the one that comes from Ahuan stock or megalithic builder stock. You got the physically dominant people with the spiritually dominant people makes an Indian. Let that sink in. The physically dominant people with the spiritually dominant people makes an Indian. Let's go on. We're looking at it right now. These Indians have long, black, coarse hair. Let's see what it says. Long, black, coarse hair likely describes what? Afro-textured hair. Or hair with a coarse texture which can be naturally occurring hair type, or a result of various factors like genetics, damage, or certain medical conditions. Look what it say. Coily or curly, afro hair is characterized by its tight coils or curls, right? Now, remember, we're describing the American Indian. The Indian has to have long, black, coarse hair. That eliminates most people, right? There's only 2 people still left that there's long, black, coarse hair, but they saying it's textured like an afro, right? But we gonna even go ahead and include some mongoloids who may have a black texture, afro coarse texture hair, right? There's only 2 people, really only one, the African American, but let's just say it's some people, because even by this time we had admixed with the what you would call your Aleut, Inuit, Siberian, quote unquote mongoloidal type to produce people like the Timay and the Iroquois. Yeah, we had already done that. We had mixed in with them, went on to produce the Incas, right? Right? And pretty much they're the same people. The admixture of our people with the Aleut, Inuit stocks in the north, these people turn into your Iroquois. In the south, these people turn into your Inca. Same people. Both niggas and nigga mixes. Right on up in there. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to my Aleut, Inuit folks. You dig what I'm talking about? But we looking at long, black, coarse hair. But look, let's take a image of long, black, and coarse. That's all I got to do. I ain't got to do nothing else. Long, black, and coarse. Look who's in the picture. Y'all better share this live. Cosmo, I got some of this Indian stew for you. Because look what Owaspy say. That the Indians got long, black, coarse, nigger hair. Right? I'm going to take the creator's words over everybody's words. But let's get back to the description. Because I'm going to go ahead and give it up. There was a great admixture at that time. But there is further description to define who these Anguis, these Indians of America truly are. They have long, black, coarse hair, and we see that that long, black, coarse hair is, let me show y'all this. Hold on. Let me go back. Hold on. You can see it. Long, black, coarse. Hold on. Let me go back. Long, black, coarse. We're just talking about Indians in North America. Huh? What your God say an Indian look like? These Anguis, these Indians of North America, they had long, black, coarse hair. Huh? But look, this is what separates it all, y'all. This is what separates it all right here. But their skin was brown. Not only brown, copper colored. Huh? Wait a minute. Their skin was brown and copper colored. You're in America. You got long, black, coarse hair that it only fits one people. This, sister, is the American Indian. This is what the hair of the American Indian looks like. Long, black, coarse. Long, black, coarse. This description only fits one people in America. And look who's wearing the hair. The American Negro is the Indian. But you making this up, Cosmine. I ain't write this. I wasn't born in 1881. Huh? It's only one people in America. First of all, who even claiming to be Indians, who have long, black, coarse nigger hair and brown copper color skin. And when you look at the original definition of American in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, you see Webster Dictionary describes them as native or the copper colored races found here by the Europeans, but now in 2024 applied to Europeans. Showing you that there's only one American. He has long, black, coarse nigger hair, is in America, and got brown, copper-colored skin. Today. They're describing the people today, December 2024. I ain't got to look millions of years ago, but when I show you them people hundreds of years ago or 100 years ago or 50 years ago or 300, 500, 600, 2,000 years ago, it fits this description. And if you don't fit this description, you not likely them people. So this begs to ask the question, who are the people on the res? You're Eurasian. But this is what they don't get. Right? This is the part. And their arms were short like the irons. Why does that matter? Right? Why does that matter? Because Anguis, right, are mixed people, right? We come from mound builder stock, which is iron. Look, let's go up here to 29 real quick. Hold on. Let's go up here to 29. Just go up a little bit. Look. Right here, look. Because you are a mix between iron and Ahuan. Who are the Ions? The Ions are the mound builders in America. Who are the Ahuans? These are your pyramid builders. They're two different people. Huh? In that same time, the Lord caused the chosen, the Ion, to display the mold of their thighs and their short, shapely arms. So if you want to say, they got these big black bucks raping these people. No. Jaja showed the iron. Mind you, are Negroidal anyway, but low vibratory people like to pay attention to the fact that they say these people are pale skins. Nonetheless Negroidal, but albine. How you know they albine? Cosmon the Aniawea, right? Who calls them the Tustundi or the Moon-eyed people, said that their eyes weren't good for daylight, but they came out at night. They say they lived under the ground. The mound is how you got in it, right? But why, right? Because why is the shapely arms? Why? Because y'all don't know that y'all megalithic fathers, the Ahuans, the giants, the big niggas, their arms were generally longer than their legs. Even though you 12 feet tall, your arm's still longer generally than your leg. That is a defining descriptive notion or way to define a Ahuan. They big men, but their legs are still shorter than their arms. Right? They have a thing called in this big old monkey thing. And Sela told me the name and I'm forgetting it right now. Is it Gigantopithecus? I think it is. I'll show it in a minute. But it's this big old giant thing and they make it look like a monkey, but it's not a monkey. It's just an ancient primitive man type. Big in the mug, and then because the legs are short, they try to make it like it was walking all on. No, this thing is 10 feet tall. It's a 10 feet tall man. Right? But why? And in that time, the Lord caused the chosen, right? The Ions to display their legs. So the Ions is showing off. The so-called holy people, they showing off. Huh? Dropping it like it's hot for the Ahuans. Huh? Owaspi tell it real. And the Ahuans, the copper-colored race, large and strong, bigger than anybody else on the planet. They were tempted, contrary to law. What? Why? Because the Ahuans were told not to mess with the Ions. That was law. The Ahuans protected the Ions, but at this time, Jaja caused the chosen to display their thighs. Why? He about to go produce a new, better people. Same thing happening today. Right? And he take the mound builder stock and he mix it with the megalithic builder stock. Right? Even though it's contrary to law, just like it was at one time, it was contrary to law for niggas and white girls to mix, or white boys and black girls to mix. Contrary to law. I just want y'all to bring it into modern terms so y'all can understand this. This ain't far-fetched. Right? And So it came to pass that the Ahuan women, the copper-colored large Negroidal types, boasted of their conquest on the Ahuans, bringing forth heirs of what? More shapeliness. Right? Now, when these heirs grew to be these Anguis right here, remember, men and women, behold, they had the gift of prophecy. This is why he mixed them, to bring the Ahuan race even closer to the high raised heavens. Huh? Why? Because the admixture, the Anguis, the Indians, right, of more shapely body, right, grew to be men and women, and behold, they had the gift of prophecy and of seeing visions and of hearing the voices of angels of heaven. And they were called what? The Anglican, huh? Signifying good-shaped men, the Indian, right? So because the Ahuan had long arms, right, and was very large and strong, Jaja brought the spiritually adept people, right, who were all the while proportionate, right, were very short, right? So he brought the two types together, right? And this is why this is important, because this makes you modern. And their arms were short, like the Ions, like the mound builders. But you are half mound builder, half pyramidal builder, half little guy, half big guy, half spiritual, half flesh, right? Very proud what the Indians. Now, also, this makes you symmetrical. This makes you symmetrical. This makes you more fluent in your movements. This makes you more athletic. Huh? And if you are symmetrical in body shape, that's to show off what the spirit is. Right? The unseen rules the seen, correct? Right? So this is why you are the most physically dominant people and also the prettiest in the world. You're the most physically dominant and spiritually awoken, quote unquote, people on the planet. Why? Because the American Indian, the Angwi, the Negro of America, are mixed with the Mah and Yah, or the spiritual people, the Iron, the mound builder stock, with the copper-colored aboriginal large Negroidal. Huh? Iron, huh? Of great physical strength. Right? You are a mix between the two. Very proud are the Negroes. Hit different when I put it like that, don't it? Very proud are the Indians. You wouldn't mix back, huh, with these Ahuans, your forefathers, nonetheless a barbaric type people to you now. And they dared not mix with the Ions, the mound builders, because of the commandment of the Lord. Right? So, the Indians, right? The Negroes of America became a new race in the world. Now, you were already in America as an Ahuan. You were already in America as an Ion, a mound builder, a megalithic builder. This is who built Tiahuanaco. It's right. Ahua is right in the name. What about who built Saxe Ahua Man? Am I making this up? Megalithic builder, mound builder. The Indian, the Negro is both, even modernly. Because there is a difference between an Angui and a Anguigan. This is us today. Anguigan. An iron leaning Ahuan, a Angui, a Negro. This is why you look like that. But don't get it twisted. The Irons had coarse hair too. But it came blonde. It came red. It came black. You dig what I'm talking about? It came in every single color. The iron came in every color. And the hair was that. So if you had brown skin, you had brown hair. If you had light yellow skin, you had light yellow hair. If you had white skin, you had white hair. But that don't change your ethnicity. But because a brown can mix with a white, you get high yeller. Huh? Because a yellow can mix with a brown, you get a red. So the reason you look the way you look today is because your ancestors looked the way you look today. You are a mix. Huh? So the modern Negroidal Indian, the misnomered African American, became a new race in the world, having all the symmetry of the mound builders and all the savageness, of the Quechua or the Ahuans, the great megalithic builders. And look, but this is key. Listen, I want to show you why y'all do not rock with God, do not rock with Lord God, Lord Messiah, Savior. Y'all don't rock with none of that. Why is that coming out after hundreds of years of being duped by Christianity, hundreds of years of being duped by Islam, thousands of years of being duped by this and that and this and whatever? Why is it coming out now that y'all you won't even pick the Bible up? I couldn't give y'all niggas money to go to church. Why is that? Because your ancestors didn't rock with it neither. Watch this, right? You got all the spiritualness, the spiritual symmetry of the mound builders. You got all the symmetry. This is why you beautiful. That's why you're the most pretty people in the world. This is why you're the most spiritual people in the world. We out Christian the Christians, out Jew the Jew, out Catholic the Catholics. You know what I mean? Out Animize the Animists. Niggas in America out Egypt the Egyptians. Right? But it's because of that spiritual symmetry. You have physical symmetry. Why? And why does that help? Because your father race was some savage ass niggas, some fighting goons. You dig what I'm talking about? That wasn't having nothing. That were the great megalithic builders, giant men, 7 feet tall regularly. That's a little nigga. Huh? Yeah, women walking around regularly, 7 feet tall. Hmm? But this is the key. Watch this. And because the Indians were feeders on flesh and fish, because y'all hunted, y'all ate, went out, did what you had to do. Right? You got it out the mud, right? Because y'all ate on flesh and fish, we fell up under the dominions of the angels of the lower heaven, or the inorganic heavens, and look, and they rejected the Lord and God. Who brought this ideal back to you that, man, it's fake? I ain't going to that church. And then your mama, to a point where, listen, especially if you was in the South, you went to church. Huh? You lying if you say you didn't go to church. It was the same thing up here in the North too, for real. You went to the mosque, you went to the church, you did something. You did what I'm saying? You wasn't just sitting up in grandma's house on Sundays. You did what I'm talking about? Saturdays, Friday nights. That's not what you was doing. Mm-mm. That is not what you was doing. Right? But you ain't never rocked with the Lord God, none of that. We knew the great spirit over here, the great Wakan. Huh? The great Wakan Tanka. Huh? We knew the difference between Geechee and Manito. We always knew Geechee made Manito. A thing inside of a thing. We call that the Inqua. Yep. Your boy Cosmo getting up on his Algonquin. Yeah. Your boy Cosmo getting sharp with his Algonquin. The Inqua. A thing inside of a thing. So when you see a round circle with a dot in the middle. Also, it says you rejected the Lord and the God. Don't feel bad. Don't even feel bad no more. Right? I want to show y'all something though. Y'all know remember I told you the Iroquois is an admixed people. They've been here a while. They've been here few hundreds of years. I even give them 1,000, over that. You dig what I'm talking about? I give them 1,000 years. I think they would have been they wouldn't have been the earliest. The Aleut Inuits would have been the earliest, but the admix of the type, right? Because what people got to understand is these is Negroes, right? We just described them, right? They are called the Anguis. Look, I'm telling y'all today, the Iroquois still call themselves Angui today. Look, I ain't making this up. This is from the Wisconsin Historical Society. This is a spelling book in the language of the Iroquois, right? Of the who? The Anwi, the first of men. Upright talking man. This is a spelling book. They call themselves the Angui. Still to this day, Huh? Look, I want y'all to also notice, right? This is supposedly Iroquois, right? It's Iroquois. It is. If it's Iroquois and you're writing this for Iroquoian people, why is it written in modern English? Unless the modern English script was already here. Well, that brings a problem then, Cosmon, because the people who were coming over from Europe were still speaking Middle English and writing it, speaking Gaelic, Danish, Welsh, Gaulish tongues, Portuguese, the España. So where were they getting this text from? This text was already here. It's called Iroquois. It's called Algonquin, the Anishinaabe. Watch this. These are the Haudenosaunee, right? This is from the Haudenosaunee, from the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, Tuscarora, and be careful because many of these people are hijacks. Hate to say it, but they know it. Many of them are $5 Indians. They got people on the Dawes Roads who was pale as any Siberian or I mean, not Saxon, pale as any Saxon or pale as any Norseman. With not a lick of Aboriginal genetics in their stock was coming over here paying $5 getting on this road. But look, we gonna see what the Haudenosaunee, the real people of the longhouse, man. We taught y'all how to build this longhouse. I told y'all we iron and Ahuin. Part of our Aboriginal ceremony and ritual practices, not a religion, was the longhouse. We taught the Algonquins taught the Iroquois how to build the longhouse. We use the longhouse for spiritual uses, places where the angelic beings can come and talk to you, and is essentially a spirit house, right? And does exactly for a large group of people what the teepee does for a smaller group of people. Is for spirit interaction and a place to focus energy. This is why the longhouse has an oblong conical shape, right? Because it's the shape itself that actually focuses energy. This is why the teepee is conical, right? Cave likes in many types, right? But let's get into, right, these anguis. Let's go prove that these anguis still in America today, and the people of the Indians is still calling themselves anguis to this day. Right? Remember, the word is Algonquin initially, but we finding out that the Algonquin text and the Iroquoian text are written in modern English, Fed out by John Eliot, who went and got the 26 types of spoken and written language here in the Americas, Muskogee, Algic, and Siouan types. All 26 are the major ones that was written. And he gets modern English written, even though at the time he would have been speaking Welsh or Danish. But look, this from the Haudenosaunee themselves. Cosmon ain't making this up. The people of this, so the Indian of America is the Negro of America. The proof is the word angui. Do they still call themselves that to this day? Watch this. The people of the Six Nations believe that they are endowed with a unique heritage, formed from the living earth and sharing the very breath of the Theron, Hawakan. The Tero Hayawakan. This is the name of the force. Wakan. Huh? And look, right in the name. Hayawa. Right? Right here. You see the name of the creator right there. Ayawa. Kan. Wakan is the power. Ayawa, the name of the creator. Wakan, Ayawakan is the great spirit. Right? How much y'all want to bet this name, Ayawa, is smack dab in the middle of our country? If y'all know that this word right here, the name of the great spirit, Hayawa, wow, is smack dab in the middle of our country. The state of is right smack dab in the middle of our country, named after the creator himself. Just one of the names. Look, but their lineage is a special one. They call themselves Angui. Angui, Anwi. Now, look, we got a G in it, in the Algonquin, right? And the Iroquois, they got a K, so we know who's speaking. These French or Dutch or Spanish, right? So now we look with these Ks, we should see, right, with these Ks and stuff like that, and how it's written, this looks English, or what we would call, people from England, Dane, Welsh, Saxon, Norseman. You dig what I'm talking about? Watch this. They call themselves, even to this day, Angui Anwi. The modern Anguigan, or what? Original people. Were the Anguis the original Indians? Yes, they were. Look, Cadwallader Colden, an 18th century, look, didn't I tell you? English writer offered another interpretation of Angui. You see it? I'm going to show you it in a different way too. Angui. Now we see that K in this certain spelling, right? Angui, Anwi, right? Still to this day, comes out of an English understanding, right? Let's go see how it looks in some other ones too, but let's finish this. Writing in an introduction describing a council between Sir William Johnson and the Confederacy, Colden notes that the Iroquois think for themselves, by nature, superior to the rest of mankind, and assume the name Angui. Look, Angui. Cosmon, you just made that word up. No, I didn't. Angui. Why they still calling themselves that even to this day? The Haudenosaunee call themselves the first of men. The original people. And then they say what? They were proud people. Right? They think for themselves by nature, is superior to the rest of mankind and assume the name Anwi, which is men surpassing all others. Huh? Very proud. What they say? Hold on, let's go look back. Huh? Let's go look back. Let's go look back. Very proud were the Anguis. They be thinking Cosmo making this stuff up. I ain't making none of it up. It's crazy. Then I did my genealogy and it got really crazy. This opinion, right? That is, men surpassing all other men, Angui. This opinion gives them that courage which has been so terrible to all the nations of North America. The warrior people. They call the Iroquois the what? The Romans of the West. They have such absolute notions of liberty that they allow no kind of superiority. Sound familiar? And banish all servitude from their territories. Huh? They be saying Cosmo be making this stuff up. They be saying Cosmo making it up. I ain't making it up, bro. It shouldn't even be in Owaspie. It shouldn't even be there. And then to turn around and have it proven out, you dig what I'm talking about, in real time by indigenous peoples themselves. Listen, I didn't make this up. I did not make this up. Hold on. There was something else I wanted to show y'all real quick. Something else I wanted to show y'all. 1 second. I'm getting the where is okay. This is what I want to show y'all real quick. Make sure y'all can see that. I know it's little. Let me see if I can blow that up real quick. Hold on. See if I can blow it up real quick. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right. Let me see if I can blow it up just a little bit more. I'm sorry about that. I had a phone call. Hold on. Let me see if I can blow it up just a little bit more. Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to show you, that they still using that Angui even to this day. 1 second, y'all. Let me answer this. I'll be right back. Okay, all right, y'all, I'm back. My bad about that. But this is what I wanted to show y'all. That this is well known. Fierce warriors. This is from People of the Longhouse, the Haudenosaunee, songs from the Iroquois Longhouse, program notes for an album of American Indian music from the Eastern Woodlands, right? Fierce warriors and able statesmen, the five nations of the Iroquois Confederacy were acknowledged lords of the Eastern Woodlands of North America. Proud look of their position, they loved singing only less than they exalted bravery and respected chiefship as attributes of superior men. Within the upper caste of what? Angui, or men, the men preeminently. They included only themselves. So Cosmon ain't making this up. Now, remember, they told you about that the Iron's leg, or the Ahuans, the giant's legs, was shorter than its arms, right? Not that the legs wasn't long, but the arms are longer, right? They have found this thing, but because it is giant, right? And because they reworked the hips and changed stuff around, and this gotta be some type of a monkey or something. No, this can't be a human, a man. You dig what I'm talking about? They work it around and they lie and they make up stuff, just like they did about Cro-Magnon, just like they did about Neanderthal. They tried to tell you that these people was just some stupid ass niggas that didn't know nothing. Come to find out, they knew everything. Just about everything modern that we do today, Neanderthals did too. So did Denisovans. So did Homo erectus. And I'm saying, I'm adding to this, just like they got everything else wrong, just like they got Lucy wrong, just like they made everything else up, they made this up because they found this thing. And they gotta explain it as some type of monkey when it's a man. So they dress it up like this. But I bet you they won't do no DNA on this thing. And look, the legs are shorter. Hominid. All right? It's a primate. Has a backbone. Right? But they want to put it in the monkey class. So it is what it is. All right? But look how big this thing is. Look how big it is over a man, modern man. Look. Now, you turn them arms the same way and sit his feet just the same way as you sit his feet, that's a man. Now look, they tell you they lying right here. Look. Why would you base it on the reconstructions of an orangutan? Huh? Gigantopithecus likely spent more time in a quadrupedal stance on all fours. How do you know that? And yet you can say Lucy didn't. Oh, she walked, she was all right. Yeah. How do you know? You didn't find no leg bones for this thing. Y'all only found the skull. They reconstructed it. Look, reconstructions are based upon an orangutan. Why wouldn't you base it upon a man?
And if you base it upon a man, it's still gonna be that physical gigantic size, but it's gonna have more human-like structure. That's something different. Now, I'm not saying this is absolutely true, right? But what I'm saying is the fossil record bears more facts to what Owaspie is saying about this giant Negroidal race in America and out throughout the world, right? Who had been here 3 times and had been genetically manipulated by admixing on purpose. This lends back to the stories that you hear in Sumerian texts, in Persian texts, Akkadian texts. You dig what I'm talking about? Even Egyptian texts, Vedic texts, even the Mahabharata with the Vimanas and all that. It hints back to these type of narratives, but it makes it more grounded and not so spooky like it's like an alien or something. No, just a big giant nigga. Now, would he be Mo Beasley? I'm sure he's got to be more like the Earth. That just makes sense. But I'm just showing you a lot of this stuff has been found. It's just about understanding the knowledge and taking into account how it's being looked at. Why would you reconstruct it as a monkey? What if you reconstructed it as a man? Then we start talking about the myths, the legends, the Raphaim, the Nephilim, the men of Lore. Huh? We go right back into that stuff. Right? Well, it's all good, man. We got up in this thing. Malachi Maccabee up in this thing. Love light, man. Dig what I'm talking about? My Ima has always been better than your Ima. Shout out to Ahuba, aka Simpty Armige. If y'all only knew who Simpty Armige is, man, y'all boys will drop down and get some homage to the queen. You dig what I'm talking about? She came down and laid all your favorites out. Huh? Heard of Brahma? Yeah, she raised him up. Heard of Abra? Yeah, she raised him up. Huh? Heard of Pope? She raised him up. I know many of y'all, even though y'all aboriginals, y'all don't even know the great prophet of America. What's his name? Huh? His name is Iwata. Huh? The great prophet of America. You dig what I'm saying? But look, we ain't gonna keep it long. I ain't even got my outros, my intros. I just wanted to come down and drop something, some heat, put some heat up on the channel real quick, man. Y'all sub, like, share, and as always, man, you know what? Let me see if I can. Let me see. Hold on 1 second, y'all. We got it. You know what I'm saying. You got to take them out right, cause man, you ain't even right. You dig what I'm talking about? You over here tripping. You dig what I'm saying? Hold on, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I could let me see if I can find something. Let me see. We gotta take it out right, man. Gotta ride it out right.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air.
Hey.
Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there.
Hey.
When you in the sky breathing rarefied air.
Okay.
When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, just that job theft, that chow mein, that papa bull, that chow mein since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so ass above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing and current? See the pattern is panic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing put equal. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN, it's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. And the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. See vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make this a lot. Well, I'm an Israelite. I'ma make you make a Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Create a gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
Look, man, love, light, balance. All I need y'all to do for me is to breathe in. Let that light in, because I'm Cosmine, and I'm out. Peace.